Today I want to tell you a story about the influence of black bartenders on popularizing a classic American drink, the Mint Julep. And if you stick around, I'll even make you one. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. Before we get started, please press the like button. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and press the subscribe button because I don't want you to miss a moment. Now, first things first, happy Juneteenth, everybody. And to commemorate Juneteenth, we're going to be making a drink that involves both the South as well as freedom. We're talking about the Mint Julep. So the Mint Julep is a classic American drink that dates back to the 18th and 19th century, popularized in the South. And as most historians will note, the drinks that were being made in the South in the 18th and 19th century were generally mixed by hands belonging to black bartenders. So what better way to celebrate Juneteenth than to talk about a drink that black bartenders really put on the map? So this drink is a few centuries old, so understandably, the recipe has changed throughout the years. Originally, this drink was made with rum or brandy, but now the contemporary way to make a mint julep is to use bourbon. And the bourbon that we're going to be using today is Maker's Mark cask strength bourbon. Now, this drink is pretty simple. There's only a few ingredients. You've got simple syrup, mint leaves, ice, and your bourbon. So let's get right into it. Now, this is a drink that is crafted inside the glass. And if you've watched my previous videos, I've kind of stressed that to make a great cocktail, you don't need a whole bunch of special bar equipment. But to make a mint julep, I highly recommend that you get a mint julep cup. And I'm going to explain to you why as we're building this drink. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is start off with our simple syrup. So we'll use a ½ ounce of simple syrup. And the recipe calls for somewhere between 10 and 15 mint leaves. Now, keep in mind, there's only a few ingredients to this drink, and the majority of it is your bourbon. So for me, I like the drink a little bit sweeter, a little bit mintier. So you can make this how you like it, but I'm gonna kind of go in on the mint leaves a little bit. So 3. I've lost count. I'm just gonna fill the bottom of the cup with mint leaves. I think we got about enough. And the next step is to muddle the mint leaves. Now, like I mentioned before, when muddling herbs, you don't wanna really go in too much with the muddler. You just wanna bruise the leaves, okay? You wanna kind of crack those veins open so you can really bring out that minty essence, okay? So it's not gonna take all that much force to get that done. Just a couple of pushes and turns. Not too much. And you can tell that you've done it right when your muddler is nice and minty. That smells so good. I wish you guys could smell this. All right, now that we've got our simple syrup and our mint leaves together, the next thing we're gonna do is add our bourbon. So again, you're gonna add bourbon to your own liking. Different recipes call for different amounts, but I like mine with about 3 ounces of bourbon. So you can add more, you can add less. That's your business. If it's your first time making it, start with 3 and see how that works for you. All right, so we've got our bourbon, we've got our mint leaves, and we've got our simple syrup. And the only thing left is to add the ice. Now, the recipe calls for crushed ice. You can use shaved ice. You can use cracked ice, but I use the blender to crush the ice. We'll put 1 scoop of ice in, and I'm gonna use my bar spoon to just stir it a little bit. Now, you're gonna see the reason why I recommend using the mint julep glass. So this is where the magic happens. So after you put the ice makes the cup cold, the cup starts to frost, and that's gonna keep everything inside cold, all right? Now, after we've got this nice frost on the cup, we're gonna add the rest of our ice. So we're just gonna continue to pile ice on top until we make a nice dome of ice. And for me, this part always gets a little messy, but I think it's worth it in the end. As long as you don't spill too much alcohol. So we've got our ice, and the last thing we add is our bouquet of mints. I'm just gonna stick that in the side. Well, before I stick it in there, I'm gonna give it a little clap. And the purpose of that clap is to really bring out the essence of the mint. It's not, it's not as much as muddling, but it definitely brings out the essence of the mint. And pro tip is you want to put your straw right next to the mint so your drinker can get a nice whiff of mint as they're having their drink. So the next step in crafting your mint julep is to let it sit for about 5 minutes. Keep in mind, this is a southern drink, so we're not in a rush. We got to be patient. We're going to let this thing just develop a bit, okay? And while I got you waiting, like I promised, I'm going to tell you a little story, all right? And this story is about a man named Dick Francis. Back in those days, they called him Uncle Dick, which is a bit pejorative. If you've been watching the news, you see that Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben have recently been canceled, so we don't do the uncle thing anymore in 2020. Back in the 1800s, I guess it was a different story, but anyway, Dick Francis, some historians will say that he was born into slavery. Others will say that he was born a free person of color. Either way, Dick Francis was a bartender at a spot called Hancock's on 12th and Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. And while he was working at Hancock's for over 3 decades, he saw the end of slavery, Civil War, Emancipation Proclamation, and yes, Juneteenth. After the Civil War, Dick Francis was asked to become the bartender for the U.S. Senate. Yes, the U.S. Senate had a bar. He would often make drinks for senators and other important people around Washington, D.C. Now, the coolest part of this story is that Dick Francis earned enough in his career as a bartender to not only buy real estate, but also to send his son to medical school. And his son eventually bought Hancock's, and he owned it until it closed down right around the time of Prohibition. So I love that story. I think it's great, and I just love how it all ties in. So we're gonna pass the drink over to the taste tester to see what she thinks. I like your lipstick, by the way.
Thank you. It's bourbon. It's refreshing bourbon, though.
So our taste tester is not the biggest bourbon fan, but if you're a bourbon fan, you're gonna love this drink. It's sweet, it's minty, it's cold, it's refreshing, and it's a great drink to sip on. You wanna sip on it. You don't wanna drink it too fast because keep in mind, there are 3 ounces of Maker's Mark cask strength bourbon. We're talking about 109.6 proof Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, all right? So sip this and enjoy it, all right? If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and press that like button. And if you enjoyed it, I'm pretty sure you'll know somebody else who will enjoy it. So go ahead and share because sharing is caring, all right? Now, like I said, there's a lot of different variations on the mint julep. And if you have a special variation that you love, I'd love to hear about it. So go ahead and share with us in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching. Happy Juneteenth. I'll see y'all next time. Cheers.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.